All right, I was filming a quick video on how to do gestural designs in a warm-up phase, right? So it's just like creating spherical type patterns. I spent some time doing elliptical patterns, just practicing a whole bunch of different ellipses in different shapes. But once you get a pretty solid ellipse down, it's nice to start making that elliptical shape more organic. So you're creating a flowing circular looking form. And in here, what we're doing is once you've created a whole bunch of different forms and overlapped some like swirling patternings, but with acknowledgement of the other shapes, some of this as well. We're trying to get the perfect warm-up exercise and a series of perfect warm-up exercises. I made an introduction video, but got distracted looking through all of my work. I was just like, oh, I'll just find the warm-ups that I did the other day. And every aspect of design is really interesting to me. It's a constant process of trying to, yes, everything is interesting, but what is pivotal? What's the most interesting? What's fun? What's engaging? What's collaborative? Right? And noticing this as you're practicing different things. I'm practicing some Elisa Ivanova, and the way that she does different shapes and shades them while doing portraits, while doing designs is super cool. So if you just kind of do some reference there, and then when you're making abstract shapes, it's kind of just intuitive. It's second nature to see how close you can get to the original, but not the original, the one that you stored in your mind's eye. And yeah, it's good to do spot on. It's good to do spot on references. I don't probably do that as much as I should. When you can, it's lovely. And once you've done a couple, because I did some of them, to then remix the forms and to have introductory exercises that create a space to do that is really cool. Adding in positive and negative, even if the patterns are cool, is really good. To have no preciousness. Right now, I guess I'm kind of just commentating while I'm going things that I think would be helpful to have warmed up when I start drawing. Obviously, it's case to case. We all know it's case to case based on what project you're working on and what's personally interesting for you. There are also foundational things. There's transcendence between different crafts and schools, and ways that if you learn different techniques, you're like, well, has anyone ever put them together? Has anyone ever put them together in this way? Is that alone an act of creating something new? To add on it further, or to take it in a different direction, to keep some things and change some things? Okay, so the game is very much, for me, at this time, a game of focus. It's lovely, because there's so much you can do. Like, you can practice endlessly, you can always learn more things, or if you direct your attention and focus in just the right place, it might not seem like a lot what you put down, but the progress that you can make, or the ideas that you generate in that space could be miraculous, Sometimes the best designs ever only took like a minute. If we're talking about listening to TED Talks, your elusive creative genius, like creating a space to be a channel for energy to pass through and trying to chase the elusive genie. Like, ideas are something that is out there, like Pokemon. You have to get into the world like Pokemon Go to get them, They're not something that you concoct or create entirely your own, but you invest in the process, You start exploring it and opening up design in your own unique way. And then when things come to you, sometimes you get like a special feeling of, oh, this is an interesting tangent. You don't know where it's going to go, but you get a feeling. Like, for me, it's like playing a good video game where you're like, oh, what is going to be in this next part, when you're really invested in it. Art doesn't always feel like that, but when it does, and you're like, oh, this is exciting. I'm anticipating this. similar to the game. It's like, yes, you'll rise to the challenge. Yes, you'll do what you already know, but you'll expand on it. You don't know where it's going to go or where it should go. So there's an element of choice also, which is fun. You demystify. Like, might you make a choice that's not correct? And you're like, all choices are correct. You learn from everything, and they're going to be fun. A little bit of affirmations, yeah. Everybody's doing affirmations. Everyone's got to do affirmations. But if you specify them to you, you're not doing anyone else's affirmations. You're not making, blank check look like it could be cashed by someone that you know, so that, it would become very attractive. It's like, you make affirmations for you specifically, what you want to create, what you want to hone in on. It's a way to gear up that focus, like out of the infinite potentials of things in front of you. For like, you'd like to make a really, really cool game, or if you have an idea for a really, really cool game, you want to make a design for that game that's going to elevate it and take it in a new direction. You could even take it a step further and say, I'd like to define the whole game's art style in this session, and to bring something unique to it that I'm not even expecting or thinking of right now, to surprise yourself in a way, So that's kind of asking the universe and affirmations. They're similar, I think asking the universe is a type of affirmation if you gear up your faith that there's a call and response energy that happens, somewhere out there. All right, this is good. I'm going to focus in on having more fun in this space. Maybe, speaking of that, put on some mighty more fun Power Rangers theme. And maybe do some Power Rangers comic into them. We'll see at some point. I was like trying to do this big epic series. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Coming up with a number of like different pieces, but it's easy to get lost in the world mythology, like wanting everything to fit together. And almost all of the best stories didn't start that way at perfection. They started in an interesting mix of some things are there and a lot of stuff that isn't there, that creates dynamism, forgive me if I talk a lot. I've been learning a lot of things, but sometimes I channel like, I want to be talking to people like I'm lonely out here with all these things. So wanting approval, or like, make it really good so that then I can have friends to hang out with and share in the art space, I know, like, I'm a likable enough person, Anyone is when they're in their joy, when they're in their interest. If you have a shared basis of interest you can tap into together, it's the best friendships. Aren't things that you struggle at, but things that are just effortless. Yeah, no, some things, there's like deep set things. They don't even have to be deep set things. I didn't have a traditional education, Didn't have a traditional education. So I thought that everyone going to high school was getting such an edge on me. Just beat myself up all the time. Like, oh man, there's almost no way to make up for this deficit, this lack. It's going to haunt me forever. And wanting to have a basis of intelligence. So try to learn from movies, learn from everyone that I was around, learn from the situations around me. And those things really helped, but nothing helped more than looking at the other kids in high school once I got there and seeing that they were not motivated. They didn't want to be there. There was no emotional resonance to much of the materials yet. When there was, if someone's really into it, you see people excel at school, but it was so far, in the example that I had, away from the standard, right? It was not like the standard to be into what you are learning or to have it memorized for more than like a month after test. It was a fractional long-term memory. I think there's, Like, you don't have to update the entire educational curriculum, although I think there are examples of more effective curriculums that are a better use of time, and not just to like get what you want in terms of the skills that you're going to apply to the field that you're working in, but things that bring you joy and personal experience. There's definitely like, times, experiences, relationships where you learn a lot. It doesn't have to be based in your field of work. All right, a little bit of shapes and clouds. Maybe buildings and ships. Doing some buildings and ships sounds pretty cool. Some sweeping roofs and decks. I was talking about Blitzball earlier. This is good though. Already, as soon as you get the ball rolling, you're noticing so much more. Or you could stop. You could ask, like, what do my partners want to see? Let's see. Maybe we go to Feng Zhu. It's definitely like Feng Zhu knows how to talk to a lot of these people and create a bridge. Bridges are incredibly helpful. There's a river between you and your guys, your desired friends and partners. It's like, never gonna get over that, man. But if you create a bridge and you make them open and collaborative, which isn't necessarily what all people want to do, it's not necessarily the best move all of the time. Like in some instances, like if I've got a technique or something and there's someone that could be teaching it better than I am, to be like, watch his stuff and then they teach the other part, it wouldn't be as effective as them coming in with a whole course that combined the two things so that it became one unified curriculum and course. If you had something like that and it's just positive and beneficial for the whole ecosystem of design, for the students, for their work, for the evolution of the shared work of all students, So it's something I've been thinking of a lot when I'm like making things and techniques and videos. How to open them up and make them collaborative and make them a part of something that's bigger, because I always have so many projects that I'm working on, and yes, it'd be like so cool to be a part of arts education and design expanded, but that's like what I care about. It's not so much about like being the guy to do it so much as to have an awesome thing and see it done. And when I see other people, I see all of the skills that are different than mine, because that's things that I can't do, things that would add to what we could do together or could add to what I've already got going. And when you combine things together, combinations are just great, right? Combinations are another magical thing. Two different things, you know them, you understand them, but in what ways they could fuse together. There's a billion different shapes any combination takes, and that's, you bring your personality into it, you bring your visual library and your, like a library of ideas, like a visual library but of stories, and I don't know what you'd call this idea library. A library of stories, a library of craftsmanship, a lot of different libraries. Ideas or dreams would be a very general one, but then you specify, you get into it. Leave space for the intuition. Okay, you should probably leave this thing for now. It's kind of getting cooler. It looks like a design school, right? Little tropical design school place. I always feel like I do the same tropical trees. I do love them though. I mean, I like the way that it's still kind of magic. I'd like to add to them. I should, okay, tropical illustration. See what we get. All right, some of these giant leaf plants, these are easy because you can render them at a distance. These are like, go in, They're like a big old regular leaf shape with all of these cuts into them. Complex to do at a great distance. And they curve around from the back like they're supposed to. Comics is something that's getting me. It's good to have courage. Comics are good examples that build courage, momentum, and just like out of the infinite number of partners that you could make into parties and projects that you could develop with those parties, you know? You don't want to fall into perfectionism and to celebrate whatever move you can make, or you'll find yourself in a space where you're antagonizing over all the paths that you aren't taking by doing anything. It's like, yes, you gain all of these fantastic gains and experiences, you look like you are, but if you're analyzing it against like, well, you couldn't do a billion other things because it's silliness, it's a fallacy, it's a non-truth that appears real in the mind. Analysis paralysis in the worst. And then not even your leaves are looking right. This is good. Okay, how small could you do these? Like that, and then it doesn't look like it. You'd have to take the shapes out. Let's look at different tropical plants. These ones are cool. These are super cool. I like the space. What kind of background? Trees, maybe? Maybe not any kind of foliage, but just some trees and space where it's like these trees are way in the distance. These are closer trees. Trunks and some fauna. Trees that break into abstract shapes as they move into the distance, where it becomes swirling and banding patterning, is where I was taking some of the freeform exercises. And look at these, that's way cool. Oh, overdid it in the first couple seconds. It was the best. Maybe I didn't overdo it, but just stayed at the same area too long. Whereas, you know, instead of making less detail, covering more ground. Goddamn, yes. To integrate more of a communication where I'm not just always like, it's not just input because I journal and present things, but then it's either all input or all output, and the balance is the master of creative fusion. You know, balance is where it's at. Should you combine these things together and make a rounded space? A different one that's just top down? That's so rounded. Oh man, round space is good. Trying to take on the curvilinear perspective is just like to make a point where you're like, you know, there's a person and it's like almost top down or like top down, and then there's a point that's the horizon, and in between is gonna be like halfway top down and horizon, and then horizon, and with just a couple landmarks in that space, then the whole thing shifts. One technique though, like that was what I was thinking after doing a simple technique where you make a ball and then you do bands on it. Doesn't have to be a lot. Do one more on the sides so that, you know, there's a half size band on all the sides. And then you take, or you add in a smaller square in each of the panels created. And then you just point towards the center of the sphere, and it naturally creates the exact dimension of this sphere. Really, yeah, it's all going in from that point. It moves and changes. It creates the sphere grid in your mind, and you'll be getting skills like Waka, like crossing into the Waka portion of the sphere grid, so that you can also blitzball and small swords. No, yeah, I wasn't trying to say sphere grid, but it is a sphere-shaped grid, and that's definitely the only one with that distinct name. Okay, so it's really like quick, and then you add a bunch of detail onto the side was something that I kind of, oh yeah, if you do that, there's like a whole nother layer to them. If you did it consistently and uniformly, that would look awesome. But even if not, some things I'm trying to get shortcut skills for doing storyboards for film or comic or anything. Then you want to manage your time. And then you block them in. And every time you block that dimensionality, it just pops this sphere shape and everything fitting right into it, which is cool. It comes close to that shape. And that was the start. But then doing one that was like a sphere with a lot less of those points. So one of them like that. There's a specific thing on Pinterest that kind of captured it. And then they do the same thing in different ways. You can raise it up a little bit, and they point towards the center, obviously. Always got to point to the center. It lifts it and moves it, and you're imagining the sphere like someone standing on any portion of the sphere would be standing there, would be standing top down. The gravity pulls them exactly like these. The gravity is always pulling them to center. So, you know, if there's like, you could do it with a whole bunch of different types of patterning, and I only did a couple. You look at it and reference it and whatnot, and then you pop it out. That'd be cool. It's such a cool, you know, it's a technique that's meant for color and design, to have painted worlds that capture this space that, you know, creates this dimensionality. But what I've kind of been trying to focus on, and especially was like, you know, sphere grid technique here, but that's not that large, but taking on certain exercises, just analyzing the exercise, no course guide or anything, but just what can you learn from this? What are you supposed to learn from this? And then when you give yourself even just the chance of, there isn't a correct way to do this, there's a way that may look correct that might be different. And if you discover something, then you can add it to what's already there. The ideal thing would be taking, you know, pieces and ideas from both and creating a unique synergy. I also think when you can give demonstrations of that happening, it's very encouraging. It's not like you're just teaching your innovations, but you're teaching a strategy for innovations. And that could come back to you as well. If you're like a generous teacher, you know, and you teach and you're like, okay, these things work for me, but I want to see your innovations as well, you know, in like an honest way. You know, if you feel that drive and you say it in your voice, you know, in your voice, like, you know, bring it on, add to it, use your imagination. They'll bring you new tricks, you know? They'll bring you new tricks and tips and tools and expand your architecture of design. And a collaborative architecture of design is always the best architecture of design. Yeah, I've been like freeform doing perspective stuff. It's not as good as targeted, but you can get pretty sharp with it. Doing like little Metal Gear Solid fight scenes, it was an exercise pretty much like this where you built pillars. I think you could build them in better ways than the exercise. While I was doing it, I didn't know how, but I just had the intuition. Like, this looks like there could be more things going on. It sells the shape and the angle or creates more diverse spaces between them. It's obviously supposed to be getting smaller in all these spaces, and I didn't hit that. They are kind of popping out at the right angles. You have people hiding around corners and like shooting guns or doing like jumps, Overwatch maneuvers. I can draw a tracer really small and quick. Because once you learn a character, then you can simplify that character. You learn the simplifications and the way they represent the complexity, and you can switch between them when you need to. It'd be fun to learn more of them, and you could get a whole little Overwatch scene with like Winston jumping in. He's got arms and a Tesla cannon somewhere. Monkey head. That's correct. You know, Widow sniping it up. I don't know her sniper posture. Is she all the way prone? Yeah. You capture moments of Overwatch action as Winston's going in. Get a Mercy with him.